I know you guys are on to Tennessee, but I'm wondering if you could kind of give us a quick postmortem of Sunday's game and where you saw things go wrong.
Well, we just way less than the desired result that we look for, and it starts with stopping the run. I mean, the run game, the foundation of what we believe in, just didn't serve us in the manner and the capacity that we work toward. And so you play the next play, whether that's one of the things that I talk to the defense about as a unit, and from one man to the next, you play the next play, quick assessment of what happened, make sure we take responsibility for what happened, good or bad. That starts with me, and then we move forward and work as hard as we can to get the result that we want.
How'd that just happen? I mean, is it something that specifically they did that just sort of got you guys out of sync, or?
David, I don't think so. I give credit to San Francisco. I mean, credit to them and what they were able to do offensively. But, when I looked at the game and I saw a lot of breakdown in terms of fundamental things that we have to do from one snap to the next to be competitive and to win that particular play in that particular situation. So you just go right back to what you have to do conceptually and from one player to the next.
Eric, a lot of the guys talked about gap integrity and something of a lack thereof last week. How do you reteach that? Like, how do you actually get guys to remember on a week-in basis, like, this is the assignment?
Well, what we try and do, from one practice to the next, and even when we have some of the best examples that you can see of what we want in terms of our run fundamentals, you go back and you continue to expose the guys to those examples. And you're teaching the entire, when you have one person that does it exactly the way you want, you're really emphasizing and accentuating that with the entire group. And so we'll do that. And fortunately, just with what we do, we kind of reteach and reestablish fundamentally what we want from one week to the next. You're constantly kind of reestablishing and just reteaching what you have to do, whether we're rushing a quarterback or we're point of attack run defender or we are a squeeze defender against the run. So that's what you do.
Yeah, I know. Have you been in contact? I guess you've been in contact with Mario, and just do you have a small package for him for Sunday since he's going to miss a lot of the prep time, or almost all the prep time here? Or?
Well, David, first and foremost, my heart goes out to Mario and his family. Extremely difficult set of circumstances, and my thoughts and prayers are with him. And right now, we're doing everything we possibly can do to just be supportive. And what we decide to do with Mario kind of remains to be seen at this particular point. If he's available to play, that'll be he'll be ready to go, and we'll take care of that when we get closer to Sunday.
What sort of mismatches does Derrick Henry, just with his size, sort of present to you guys?
Well, I don't see a mismatch. I see a formidable challenge, and one certainly that I expect us to meet. He's a big back, runs behind his pads. He's going to attack dark creases. He's going to attack a situation where there's a person in position, very similar to what we saw a few weeks ago with Jacksonville. And we just have to do a really good job making sure that from one player to the next that we're in position and that we're in a position to really attack this guy before he can get a head of steam going against us.
I like that you brought up Jacksonville, because I was going to ask if that provided a little bit of a blueprint or a little bit of a foundation tape of sorts in preparing for this game. Just big, aggressive, physical runner. Has that helped at all in terms of establishing what kinds of scheme and technique you guys want to use?
Certainly. The profiles are similar. Big guys that also possess the speed to go the distance. We've seen that with Derrick Henry as a pass receiver with screen passes against Cleveland earlier this year, and also just how quickly he gets through the hole. He can play a physical brand of football, and he also can run by a defender if you're not in the right position. So we have been exposed to that style of runner previously, and that'll help and serve us as we continue to go forward with him.
Coach Bruce Irvin had a pretty good game with 2 sacks and a safety last week. How has it been to see him come back from that injury, missing the first couple of games, and get this success again on the field?
It's been great. I mean, that's why we were excited about Bruce joining us. We knew what he would add to our defense in terms of what we like to do and some of the packages that we've been able to develop. And I just love his attitude. He's an energetic guy, and the leadership really showed. Tough situation the other day in San Francisco. Things weren't going our way, and he collected the entire defense and just reminded the guys who we are and what we're all about. And the guys continue to fight. And so, Bruce's pass rush is getting better. He's winning his one-on-one battles, and he's doing a really good job at the point of attack, setting the edge, which is what we need him to continue to do.
How has that leadership particularly affected the young guys like Brian and Christian and Marquise?
Well, he has credibility. Bruce is a person that the younger players are going to listen to because he's going to back up whatever he says with how he practices, how he approaches his job, and then ultimately his production on Sunday, following through with everything that we work on and try and install and establish philosophically with our technique, with our effort, just all the things that we believe in. There's credibility there, and that really affects the younger players.
How do you feel about where Brian Burns is now, closing on the first half of his first season?
I'm sorry?
How would you say where Brian Burns is coming on the end of his first half of his first season?
David, I really like his development. And in my experience, it's been one of the more rapid developments that I've seen. Because normally with guys that play on the line of scrimmage, the learning curve is a little bit steeper because they're playing against powerful guys, big, strong guys, NFL caliber guys on every single snap. And so that takes some getting used to, regardless of what you've been able to establish in college. And he's doing a really good job. I continue to see things from him. He was a couple of steps away from winning the other night. And so I think the best is yet to come from him as long as he continues to work and his attitude stays where it is, which we anticipate will happen.
You've seen a lot of defensive linemen and edge rushers in your time here, and how much of a difference does it make when they do have a club on that hand for somebody that relies so much on using their fingers and hands?
Yeah, there's an adjustment that you have to make, and the biggest adjustment, Josh, is just mentally. You have to kind of push that to the side and almost imagine yourself competing just as effectively, but with a slightly different circumstance. And I was joking with Brian. I said, stop looking at your hand. And we would joke and talk about that, forget about it, address it. And I'm not saying that that's an easy proposition, but you have to make that quick adjustment and then find a way to stay within the framework of your fundamentals in your game with that new circumstance. And the people that I've been around, pro football players as a whole, tend to make that adjustment. I mean, they're just some of the toughest guys you'll ever be around and see.
Is that one of the things when you make that jump from, obviously elite level prospect in college to NFL player, is learning how to play a little bit outside your comfort zone like that?
That's exactly right, because the level of talent and just the overall competitive nature of the National Football League is just it's high, and so you have to find a way to win, especially as a defensive player, any player. Your job's to win, and all of a sudden now that person that you're competing against is on the same level as you. How do you separate yourself from that person, first of all, and then how do you execute your job and win under those circumstances? And so that is something that you have to be able to do.
In San Francisco in the first half, did we see a little bit, maybe even the second half too, did we see a little bit of matchup corner work with Dante and Ross and kind of moving them in and out where they were lined up, who was on the field?
Well, you'll understand that I would probably stay away from identifying, just for obvious reasons. What we will always try and do is make sure we put the guys in an optimal position, a position that we believe will help us win. And sometimes you'll see guys travel in certain places, and sometimes you won't. And so, but we're always looking for the best thing that allows us to win a football game.
Sort of tack on to that, coming into this year, I know you guys are so excited about James and Dante and their ability to take the next step. Mm-hmm. Do you view Ross now as being in that same mix with them and having more of a trio of guys that you can sort of rotate through?
Definitely. We have a lot of confidence in Ross. He's demonstrated that he gives us a lot of versatility. He can execute from different positions, highly intelligent, studies. His preparation is really good. And there's an accountability, and I keep saying this, we call him pro because that's just what he does. He listens and applies. And he's out in front of everything, a person that can play a number of positions. You feel good about that. So we're lucky to have him.
That's all good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Aaron.
Bet.